G'day guys, Ben Zachariah here from Drive.com.au, and it is the 75th anniversary of the Ford F-Truck. It's been almost 2 decades since Ford Australia sold one locally. It is the most popular car in the US, has been since 1981, and today we're going to take the new one for a drive. As with the rest of the F-150s arriving in Australia, this started out life as a left-hand drive vehicle being built at the Dearborn, Michigan plant in the US. Once it landed in Australia, the body was removed from the chassis, the firewall was taken out, and this thing's been completely rebuilt from the bottom up as a right-hand drive car. There are 2 variants on sale, the base model XLT and the premium Lariat version, both of which are available in short wheelbase and extended wheelbase versions. Today we're going to take the Lariat long wheelbase for a drive.
Being that the car is essentially built twice, it means the entry-level F-150 XLT is priced from $106,950 before on-road costs. Not a crazy jump from the equivalent XLT in the US, where it's priced from roughly $57,000 US, or approximately 90,000 Aussie dollars, thanks to our poor exchange rate. The Lariat starts from $139,950 in Australia, or $140,945 for the long wheelbase, or about 27% more than what you'd expect to pay for the equivalent model in the US of A. So, is it worth it? Well, first, let me declare my own bias.
10 years ago, I flew to Michigan in the US and I bought myself a 1993 Ford F-150 flare side. It's powered by a 5-litre V8 and I loved that truck. Ever since then, I've wanted to get another one. And almost 10 years to the day, Ford's launched its own right-hand drive F-150 in Australia. Now this one is the Lariat long wheelbase, which is the biggest and most expensive in the F-150 range.
This one is a far cry from the basic rust-filled pickup I bought for $2,000 off Craigslist in 2013. The latest F-150 comes with thoughtful additions, like an access step built into the tailgate, Pro Trailer Backup Assist to make reversing a trailer as easy as possible, and features like radar cruise control and heated front and rear seats for the Lariat. While the XLT makes do with an 8-inch infotainment screen and traditional gauges, the Lariat gets a 12-inch infotainment screen and a 12-inch digital instrument cluster for the extra money. Mechanically though, they're identical, both powered by a 3.5-litre twin-turbo petrol V6 producing 298 kilowatts and 678 newton meters, and mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission, something Ranger owners may recognise.
The petrol engine feels a lot more refined than the diesel units we're used to in more traditional pickups. It may be a V6, but it's not lacking in power. First impressions? Well, I'm reminded of the 200 series Land Cruiser. The first time I drove one of those, it took me about 10 to 15 minutes to really get a handle on the size of it. But this thing, it doesn't feel that much different from a Ranger. It's bigger in all dimensions, but it's really not such a big leap from the dual cabs that we're already used to.
That's because it's almost the same width as the Ranger. However, this American pickup is 73mm taller, and is either 502mm or 803mm longer, depending on whether you go for the short or long wheelbase option. The wheelbase itself is 3,694mm or 3,994mm long respectively, compared to the Ranger's 3,270mm long wheelbase in the dual cab. The steering may also be familiar to those stepping out of a Ranger.
Ford engineers say that the steering is actually better calibrated than those found on left-hand drive variants sold in North America. It's because this uses the steering box from a Ranger Raptor. But to me it feels a little bit too light, and the steering wheel's probably a little bit too big, but you do feel like a king of the road behind this thing.
Yes, it's still possible to feel that way, even without the traditional throbbing V8 that became synonymous with the F-Truck over the decades.
Representatives for Ford said they never really considered a special suspension tune for Australian roads, and frankly it doesn't need it. Both the short wheelbase and the long wheelbase F-150 ride perfectly well.
Even with the F-150 pulling its full 4.5-ton towing capacity, the V6 gets the job done, and the big pickup cruises along almost like there's nothing there. And despite the poor condition of the roads in Melbourne's west, the Ford performed surprisingly well, no doubt helped by the extra length in the wheelbase.
The Ford F-150 feels like a game changer in Australia. There are going to be plenty of Ford Ranger drivers looking to upgrade, as well as grey nomads looking for an alternative to the Land Cruiser and Patrol. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit thumbs up and subscribe so you can be one of the first to see our videos when they come out. For the full review, head to Drive.com.au.